In this lesson, we will look at the operating system fundamentals. So basically, what is the operating system, the components of an operating system, the functions of an operating system, the types of operating systems, and command line tools. All this is part of information technology. So what is an operating system? An operating system is a low-level software that supports your computer's basic functions such as scheduling tasks and controlling peripherals. So basically, a computer cannot run without an operating system. The operating system is what commands, programs, and software and the hardware for us to understand. There are three elements of an operating system. There's a user interface, as you can see, my pen. So we have the user interface. This is the part of the operating system that you interface with. The user interface is basically user friendly. And this is what humans learn in order to operate a computer. We know right click, we know to go into double click to go into a file, what to search, how to search, where to search, and so forth. Another part or element of the operating system is the kernel. And this is the core of the operating system and interacts with the BIOS, basic input output system, remember that, and the UI on the other end. So the kernel is the core or the inside of the operating system that operates the main board. And then we have the other element of the operating system, which is the file management system. And this is where they organize and manage the files of the computer. There are many functions of an operating system. There is the file management function, the application management function, built-in utility programs, and control of computer hardware. So remember, these are the functions of an operating system. File management, you open a folder, you can put stuff, you can retrieve it at a later date. Application management, so all the software that we use in our computer, Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, Zoom, etc., are all operated by the operating system. Then the built-in utility programs, which is there for the well-being of the computer and the control of the computer hardware. So if I connect a computer to if I connect a printer to my computer, it wouldn't just work by itself. It needs a software that tells it what to do, and then the operating system is what controls the software. So there are different types of operating systems now. There are multi-user, where two or more users work with this computer at the same time. There are multitasking, where two or more processes running at the same time. So most computers are multitaskers, right? So we can run 6 different programs at the same time. Me preparing your lesson has many programs open up at the same time, right? I may have my ebook open. I may have my Camtasia, which I make my videos, open. I will have maybe YouTube because I upload it. So I use my browser at the same time. And then we have word processing software that I always have open as well. There's another type of operating system called multi-threading, where two or more parts of the same process running at the same time. So basically, two parts of the same process can happen at the same time. Moving on, we have the different operating system that is in a computer that we use to operate a computer, right? So we have Microsoft Windows, we have Macintosh OS and Linux. Some of these are basically outdated, but Microsoft Windows are there in most PCs except for those that are made by Apple, right? They have their own operating system. Same way those laptops that we buy, such as the Chromebooks and so forth, has their own operating system. But Microsoft Windows has to be the most popular operating system around. We have different window versions, and this takes us back to way before you were even born. And there are home non-professional versions, such as the ones we use in our computers, like Windows 7, Windows ME, which is backdated, Windows 98, which came out in the year 1998, and Windows 1995. All those are different versions of Windows then. Then we have the professional business versions, and the two lines came together in Windows in early 2000, and that was Windows XP. So some of you may have a knowledge about it, but most of you who are fairly new to computers and anything might not know this. You might just know the basic or the new Windows that open up. We'll talk about now the disk operating system, which is an acronym for DOS. The first PC operating system was in 1981. Not a multitasking operating system. Only one program could have run at a time. It had a command line interface, not a graphical user interface. So GUI, sometimes pronounced as GUI, is graphical user interface. So this is something we need to remember. So just write that in your notes. So graphical user interface. Forget this, GUI. Okay. Early versions of Microsoft Windows sat on top of DOS and used it to communicate with the BIOS. So earlier version would have used this operating system, right? Windows XP communicates directly with the BIOS, but allow commands to be entered via a command prompt. So as the Windows and the operating system develop, we rely less on this operating system, right? And this was a command line interface. We usually enter instructions and it will tell the computer what to do. Whereas the graphical user interface that we have now is something different. This is easy to use and it's easy for somebody to operate. When we talk about user interface, always remember we are talking about how the user interacts with the computer. Is it easy for them to understand? Is it something hard to understand? Is it user friendly? So most people buy technology and ask if it's user friendly, and this is what we're talking about, user interface. Okay, so we move on now. Now we're talking about the file system. A file management system was one of the functions of an operating system. A file, and these are things you need to know, a file is a collection of bytes of information treated as a single unit. It is given a name to make it necessary to find and use later. So each item on your desktop has a name. Some of them are known as file. And the file system is what keeps track of where file is and actually resides on a disk. So if you look, and bear with me for a minute, we will look at my screen and I will show you what is a file and the file management system, how it works. So here I have my desktop. It's very untidy and it has my personal stuff on it, but it's not a matter of that. I'm going to show you what a file is. So a file will be like this on the desktop here. And within this file, we have documents inside it, right? These are PowerPoint presentation that I use for my lessons. So this is what, if I want to look at a file management system, I can look here. If I click here, and I can do a quick search. If I wanted to search for something in that file, and I know one file name is conflict, I can do a search and it can show me what is on my computer and I can click it, or I can just go look for it based on a name. Remember, each file has a name. So this general folder, we call this a folder. It has a name, videos to make. When I enter, I have different files, and these are all the videos that I have to make, right? Each file is in a folder, and a group of files is one, makes up one folder, right? And the file management system now allows us to have names for each file and folder. So it helps us, for the user, to identify stuff on the computer. Okay, so this is just one example of the file management system I've been talking about. So we continue now with the file system we have been talking about. So you see what I mean by a folder and a file, right? Remember, a disk now is subdivided into directories or folders. So on a disk, there is a directory which has a list of folders, and then you can maximize it and see what files are in the folder. Continuing now, the top level folder on a disk is known as the root folder. The root is generally subdivided into subfolders. Any folder or subfolder can contain files and other folders. The fully qualified file name includes the name of the file and the path to which the folder. So for example, this, and I'll show you what this looks like now on a real example. So here I have a part of my PC again, dealing with my documents, as you can see on my PowerPoint presentations here, right? What I want you to see here is this. Right here, you will see the PC. So in this PC, we have all these folders, right? All these items. Each folder, each item now is considered a root. For example, the root for my documents is here. If I click this, my documents, which is this entire thing here, will come up. So everything that is inside here comes up, right? So I have documents, my documents, and then I have a folder coming up. And within that folder now, I can click. So let's say I click this folder, SEA Prep Online. I click this folder. You will see files into that folder. And this here is called the path. So this PC is the root. And then I have another folder, documents, and under documents, I have SEA Prep Online. So this is what they meant by the path to which we find something. Okay, and this is just a simple path, but it can also look like what you see on my slide here as well. So we continue now. So we talk about the root folder, the subfolder, and the files that are located into the subfolder. So there are many registered file types, and more has come out since back then, right? So we have several file types. So we have several file types, as you can see here. We have docs, document, like a Word file. If you save a Word file, you'll save it as a doc, and it's normally .docx. We have XLS files, which are associated with Microsoft Excel. We have text files, which are associated with Notepad. We have HTML files, which are located with the Internet Explorer, right? So again, I'm taking you back to my computer so you can see what these looks like. So here now you can see that I have a document here open up, and if I had to save this document, I will go File, Save As. And the different type of files comes up here. Save as type, okay? Basically now I can save this simple Word document. I can save it as any one of these, and it's not like how it was back then. You actually see it more friendly now, like Word document. If I want to save it as a PDF, XPS, single web page or web page, XML, older version of Microsoft Word, and so forth, right? So this is what I mean by the file types that is recognized in the file management system. So we see what the different file types are, and this is how Windows know what to do when you double click in any file in a folder. They know exactly what type it is, and they work to suit. File attributes. Each file has 4 attributes which can be viewed or set. We have read only, in which a user can read but not copied or not basically the user cannot edit anything. So I can save a Word document as read-only and email it to someone. When that person opens it now, they can only read it. They cannot apply a change to it and they cannot delete it or any contents of it. There are hidden files. Files which will not be displayed in a normal list of files, and hidden is as what it says. Then we have system files. File is identified to belong to a system and should not be messed with. Then we have archive files, or file or is not a candidate for backup. So archive is basically something that backs up a folder, right? We save it there for later use. Now we look at the this operating system commands. Remember we said that this operating system is DOS. Continuing, there are two types, internal and external. Internal commands are resident in the main kernel, which is the internal part of the operating system. For example, file command.com. External commands are separate little programs. It's important to learn DOS commands because you can write scripts to execute a set of commands automatically. So those programmers know these commands and can create these commands for a computer to understand. This is a command prompt, right? We're seeing it here. Programs, file, /Adobe. What do you think this means? This means that whatever file we're looking for is under the name or under the program Adobe. Here we have the command name, the switches. So these little backslashes are called switches, and the parameters. Parameters are basically the length to which we search in a computer. The characters, the question mark, and the asterisk can be used to affect multiple files with a single command. The question mark means a single character. For example, when we look at copy, C, colon, backslash, template, backslash, notes, question mark, it means a single character. It means copy any Word file that begins with the word notes. Write exactly two other characters like notes 1 and notes AB, etc. Now, these are things we will get more involved when we start the actual programming language. The asterisk wildcard replaces any number of characters. For example, we have the same command as just now, except copy all file with name note. So it wouldn't just copy one file, it will copy all the file with this name. Okay? And copy all files with a doc extension in the current directory. So we're not just using copy, we're copying something. This is the command, but we want to copy this. But not just one file, we want to pull up all the file with that name. Same thing with this. So at the command prompt, a drive letter A, colon, example T, makes that your current drive. The change directory with no parameters remind you what current directory is. CD moves you to the parent of the current directory up one level. So this is showing you how we write program language. DOS command makes a directory. RD is to remove a directory. dir is to display the contents of a directory. Del or erase means to delete. Copy is, as it says, copy a file into the next folder. And xcopy means flexible command copy used for copying large groups of files. So all these are little acronyms that we use on any computer. For example, you will see DEL sometimes in a very old keyboard, right? And these are commands that the disk operating system will recognize. So if I type MD, it means make a directory. If I click DEL, it means delete something. And if I say copy, it will make a duplicate of something. We have move now, and move is to move files from one folder to another. We can rename a file. We can display this or set file attributes. So see what is in that folder. We can format a disk, and we can check a disk, right? CHK, DSK, test the file system on a disk and report the status. Even more, we have date and time, which displays and set the current date and time in the PC. We have type, which displays the contents of the file in a text file. So this takes us to the end of this lesson on operating system. It's not as hard as it seems. It's basically, operating system is basically the system that operates your computer for you. All the software, all the hardware and peripherals that are attached to it. It's just sometimes we need to get into the language that the operating system will understand. And this will be expanded on in later lessons, but for now we just introduce what is the operating system. So I hope you pause the video and take all the necessary notes that you have to take in terms of understanding this topic and attempt the reading that I will post for you as well. I am posting reading handouts for you to read, and after you're done your reading, then complete the exercises. So thank you so much for watching this video tutorial.